Hey everyone, welcome to the Bold Lawyers Show. I'm JD Hoovener, your host here with Bold Patents Law Firm, and we're here interviewing owners of law firms. This podcast is new as our fourth ever episode. I've got a good friend, colleague, and someone I went to law school with as a guest, David Bosland. David, you're here with me. Thank you.
Hey, no worries. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. And for those listening on the podcast, you're missing out. You got to go hop on the YouTube channel and check out David's background. He's out in the San Juans. What are you up to out there?
Yeah, it's just, let's see if I can do this.
There we go.
That's Canada.
Yeah. Oh, you're up north. Wow.
Yeah. This is Orcas Island. So Canada, it's interesting. So we're just up here for a few days, just trying to relax. But Canada from here, and a lot of people don't realize this, I'm farther north from the south end of Canada than ever it is from Seattle, for those of you who know the Pacific Northwest.
Whoa. So you're Canada, really far north.
Okay. Yeah, Canada starts back there, but it goes, Vancouver Island runs really long and just goes all the way down there to Victoria, down at the south end of the island. Right. So we're almost surrounded up here in the San Juans.
Yeah. Well, that's neat.
If they attack, I'm just going to surrender, eh?
What? So do you get there by boat, airplane, car?
Both. Well, all three are options. Usually just take a ferry.
Yeah.
For anybody who hasn't been up into the San Juans, it's really off topic, but if you want just kind of a nice ride through the San Juans and see an amazing archipelago, just get on the ferry, take a ferry ride, go out to Friday Harbor, Orcas, where I am right now. It's gorgeous. The only problem is you do have to get a reservation.
Yeah.
Because especially this time of the year, it is crazy busy.
Got it. Well, it looks awfully peaceful, man. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I mean, so this is the platform here. We're speaking to other lawyers predominantly, and we're broadcasting right now across LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And we're I'd love to get insight about your practice, and eventually get to talk about what was on my mind earlier today. Was, I talk a lot about trying to get new clients, marketing, that type of thing, but at the same time, I think I often forget about taking care of the clients we have. And I wanted to hear how you do that, and maybe how you have found ways to go above and beyond, find ways to wow clients. I mean, for our practice, it's pretty darn transactional. So it's like, hey, we said we're going to do, aren't you happy? And it's not always like, they're not always sunshine and rainbows. So I want to get to that. But before we do, I got to get your founder story. Why did you set up shop? Was that always your dream? Give us that story. I'd love to hear
it. Yeah. So it's a really broad glide through the law at the beginning, because I remember when you and I were in school, and like right as we were coming out of school and terrified about the bar and all of that, I remember having a distinct thought that I'll summarize as, I'm not going to say no to anything, at least to start out with, because I didn't go to law school like straight out of college straight out of high school, any of that stuff. I've got a lot of other backgrounds. And so I didn't have this trajectory mapped out. So it was this big gliding around kind of experience. I started out actually in criminal law, honestly, which was fascinating, but I found to be very much not portable, if you know what I mean. I was getting decent at criminal law in Seattle, but if I moved to even Spokane, I'd be a fish out of water again. I have to start over. Whereas intellectual property as a general concept is super portable, being as so much of it is federal law, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of my background is technology related. The Pacific Northwest is a big tech hub, of course. And so I've spent years in a variety of different technological backgrounds, and that combined with IP was a pretty good mix. And so I hung my own shingle, and I'm just trying to help people in the intellectual property space, and currently focusing primarily on entrepreneurs in the AI space.
Got it. So IP and AI.
Exactly.
That's great. You got some acronyms going. I love it. Well,
IT, IPAI.
yeah, yeah, right. I see. Good. Well, okay. So I know you kind of skipped over that, but I'm going to push you a little bit. So, criminal law. I know nothing about criminal law. What was it that you felt? What was it that a portable practice? That I think that's the word you used.
Yes.
Why was that so important?
That's a good question. That's two questions actually in there. What is how is it not portable? What's this portable thing?
Yeah.
And two, why is that portability of value to me? Let's start with how criminal defense is not portable. Criminal defense, it's, we started with criminal law, right? First year,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So everybody has a taste for it when they come out of law school. They get an idea of it. But as a criminal defense attorney, your genuine value is understanding the courts that you're representing clients in. You know where the place is. You know whether they do things on paper or on the record. You know the prosecutors. You know the people, security at the front. Whether or not you just wave your bar card and walk past, or you have to get scanned. I mean, it sounds kind of mundane, but understanding how the skids get greased and how stuff happens in the individual
stuff, right? Is that kind of
just how do they do things? They're all trying to do pretty much the same thing, but they can do it in such a variety of ways. Your main value as a criminal defense attorney, other than just like knowing the law and what the options are, is how to move it smoothly through whatever process the client happens to be in. And that just takes time in a particular jurisdiction. You can take a lot of that and go to Billings, Montana, and get a lot out of it, but you've got to start over with those courts, and you've got to figure out those different courts. And I love the Pacific Northwest, but I didn't want to be tied to it. I didn't want my client base to be just right here. I would like to be able to do my job from Portugal.
Or did you mean specifically Portugal or anywhere in the world? Is that
or Johannesburg, okay. Cape Town, even better. And if you've got your laptop and your phone and a internet connection, you can do federal law from anywhere.
Yeah.
So I liked the idea of being able to go where I wanted to go. I'm on an island right now in the San Juans. I couldn't pick up and go, oh gosh, I've got a new client who needs me to bail him out of jail. Couldn't get to him, right? So,
right.
But if somebody gives me a call in the morning and says, hey, can you get on an interview in the afternoon? No problem, right? Mm-hmm. So I like that ability to continue to support my clients, even if I would otherwise be indisposed. And this is exactly how it works. So this is what I like the portability for.
That's perfect. Good. And I mean, I think that's how I set my practice up too. Things that you're saying are resonating with me. I didn't want to have to be butts in seat. I did enough of that as an engineer at Boeing. And so I was, well before COVID, right? But I think that's the sentiment is that, hey, why do you have to conform? So there's this bit of conformity, right?
You don't have to do it the way that you and I did it, right? I think the point is like don't just think about what you want to practice, but think about how you want to practice. Where do you want to be? What do you want a day to look like? And then craft something that supports that as well. It's just as important as the substantive law you want to practice, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We got someone looking to offer some SEO or PPC assistance here. Derek, good to see you. Glad you're tuning in. Hey, can't hurt to get more new clients.
Right. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And the whole AI, implementing some of that, which is interesting. It's everywhere. Maybe we can kind of transition to that with Derek's nudge, not necessarily on the marketing, but to AI. It's a really popular subject. Maybe you're tired of talking about it, but I think what are some of the easy understood things if you're talking to a newer attorney or maybe someone who's experienced but looking to start their own firm, ways they can kind of get a leg up using AI?
Oh, using AI. So yeah, boy, AI is so new.
Mhm.
Right now, my focus with respect to AI is trying to involve myself in people who are using AI or involved in that sphere commercially. Um, because I have the tech background, I can kind of speak the language a little bit,
Yeah.
uh, and that's one of the things that I found is that some of the really successful folks, like yourself, you understand from an engineering perspective what people are trying to do and what they're up against, and you can commiserate a little bit, and they just feel there's a kindred nature to the connection, and people want to talk to you and trust you and things like that. So that's part of why I'm going that direction. AI itself, as far as supporting anything that you're doing, is is fantastic. I think it's an awesome way to start with stuff. It's an awesome way to generate ideas. Um, the fact that it's suffering some hallucinations to a certain extent is actually valuable because it'll do things. You're like, what the? And you're like, wow, I hadn't thought of that. Right? Sometimes it's those they'll provide you with a push into an intuitive leap. So it's so new. Just pull something up and throw something in, see what comes out, and then take it on yourself. Just don't just don't trust it. It's not there yet. It's not there yet. So you got to read through what it is and make sure that you agree with everything it says.
Right.
Um,
That's a great point. Yeah. I had some fun the other week. I posted a live about it where I was trying to invent a new mousetrap using ChatGPT. And so I'm going through the process of just sort of asking it questions. Obviously, there's this caveat, of course, that updated as of 2021. But I basically got to the point where it said, I don't know, right? I sort of got to a technical level where I was talking about this trap, and it was using a lever mechanism, and it was automatically going to get rid of the mouse without me seeing it. And it kind of said, well, there's nothing commercially available, with respect, that has something, that has that functionality. I thought that was kind of interesting as a fun, quick, easy way to start down a path of innovation, especially if it's an area that, it's not something you do every day. If it's sort of a fun, almost novelty type of an item, that
yeah,
could be something that you can use.
yeah. And I was watching something about AI. One of the great concerns is the risk that supposedly it proposes or presents,
Mhm.
and there's some degree of truth to that. There's a firm, and I can't remember the outfit's name, but they were using AI to produce vaccines or designs for vaccines, and it was very successful, and it was excellent. And they went, "Huh, I wonder if we told it to produce poisons, what would it do?" And
Huh.
they got it set up, and suppose they left for the weekend and came back, and it had produced all of these super nasty toxins, like
Right.
like VX gas times 10, just crazy stuff. And they went,
Okay.
"Oh my God, what have we done?" Um, so we are going to have to be a little careful with it and just make sure that what we're doing is deliberate.
For
And
sure.
whatever the results are, again, make sure that you agree with what it came up with. But man, as far as getting started on stuff, it's awesome. It also comes up in copyright. Yeah. So, if you're using AI and it's part of your copyright, uh, that's an evolving space because I do trademarks and copyright
Right.
stuff. So, um, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't use it. Go ahead and use it.
Right.
All you do when you file, but don't not file for the copyright either. Do that right away, but you just disclaim the AI part, and it's currently just not much of a problem.
That's cool. Okay, so something that you come up with, using an AI system, you know, because it's your prompting, it's the questions you're asking, the results you can actually claim as your own work. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Okay.
actually, that's sort of the Zarya of the Dawn current status, right? So just to pick on copyright real quick.
Yeah.
A certain level of creativity is required,
Right.
but that bar is like way down here. It is super, super low. And guess what? Prompts into a generative AI bot is below that line right now.
Okay.
But they left it open such that, well, maybe it's possible to put enough detail in so that you are actually guiding what that bot is doing, and you are providing enough creative human input to produce something that's copyrightable. The AI itself cannot get a copyright. They're
Right.
pretty straight about that. But can you get a copyright by putting inputs in? Now, let's say you put a lot of inputs in, you get a lot of outputs, and you pick and choose amongst those outputs for something. The argument there is even, well, okay, you spun a wheel, you got random stuff out. Did you really produce anything? Well, how well did you curate what the outputs are? So there's lots of arguments to be made. It's and people are fretting and all of that, and it's like, well, we're applying the same rules. We're just applying it to a slightly different tool, and it'll sort itself out. People like to be hair on fire. That grabs headlines, but I don't think it's necessary, really.
Right.
Yeah.
So how are you? So what is what's top of mind for some of your clients, and what are some of the big issues that they're facing? As they start to maybe enforce their copyrights. Are you involved in some of that, or in the early days? Walk through some of that.
Yeah. So, you were talking about things being a bit transactional, and it's kind of like, well, a good day is a really boring day, and how do I show that? Hey, wasn't it great you did it with us? And you're like, I probably could have done it myself. It's like, yeah, until you run into a problem, right? I mean, this is a no news day is a good news day, and it's a little tough to put sparkle and pizzazz on a no news day.
Totally,
that's absolutely true. But I think, and I'm sure, and it's true for patents and copyrights and trademarks and everything. There really aren't much in the way of police. Definitely not for trademarks. So it's on a client to police that. And so I spend a fair bit of time educating people on their own responsibility for their own intellectual property. They have to police it. They have to be monitoring it. There are systems to do that. I don't know how anybody does it without some of the robots. I just don't.
Okay.
So Core Search and Markify, just two that pop into my head off the top, have excellent services for monitoring uses of your mark, as an example.
Trademark or specifically? Core Search. What was the other one? I'm just taking a couple notes.
COR Search. So not CORE, COR Search.
Cool. Okay.
One word. And the other one's Markify. They do pretty much the same thing there. They're really excellent, actually, both of them. The thing is that it's just like any kind of a search, like a prior art search or what have you. A regular person on the street can conduct the search, but what are they going to do with the results? Those have to be interpreted, and that's where you and I went to school for years.
Yeah.
To learn how important the outputs are. But I'm helping people now with a fair number of things as that awareness grows, and this is the point. As that awareness grows, people become aware of say, even larger companies using either their same trademark or something very similar, and then they get properly petrified about taking on a giant.
Right.
Not really realizing the only difference is their ability to be more patient because they're better funded. Right. So I'm helping somebody right now with exactly that. It's like, they're like, oh, I don't have enough money to do this. And it's like, well, yeah, the other party may just consider you to be a gnat bouncing off the screen door, and they'll just ignore you for a while. Or they can actually read the DreamWorks SKG versus DreamWorks case. And I'm not sure if you're familiar.
No, I'm not. No,
DreamWorks, right?
Yeah, of course.
Big company.
Yep.
There's a senior user of mark that's DreamWorks, WERKS. And they would put on essentially Trekkie conventions.
Okay.
And they sued DreamWorks. And it was like it was a David and Goliath thing, and the senior user won because they were the senior user of the mark. It's how the law is written. It's not, they weren't making anything up. And the bigger DreamWorks kind of had to take it on the chin. So convincing people that it's not necessarily about your size, the law doesn't care, and moving through it with some deliberation and pointing out that where they're in the wrong, they're in the wrong. That's actually more interesting. So yeah, the transactional stuff can be a little dry if you do it right. But it's the watching for the infringement and making sure that you get to keep ownership of your intellectual property, and that's where I want people to be enthusiastic and maintain it, and monetize it, and protect it. I think that's where it's a little bit more exciting, because that's how are we doing today?
Exactly. Don't forget.
It's not just a transaction. This is the game, man. We're in the big game now. We've got our IP, and it's registered copyrights or trademarks, the patents in. All of that stuff. And then, like you and I have talked about before, it's like how do we use like a design patent to support an interest in trade dress, or how can we use a logo and get trademark protection on it? But a logo is a creative thing, so we should probably go get a copyright on this cool logo, right? There are cases where the trademark case failed, but they prevailed on a cause of action in copyright. So they got what they were doing because they had copyright protection for their logo. So
really cool.
There's this cross-pollination stuff is also very interesting, and that's where it's kind of exciting for people to see what the opportunities are for their intellectual property, and that gets us a little bit past the dry. Hey, we got to file this stuff by Thursday.
Right.
Boring.
Yeah. One thing we just launched, and we're nervous about it. This is like a week ago. In kind of the whole concept was to get clients that have patents and trademarks with us to kind of like pay attention. Like, you just spent all this money. So what we're actually having them do is pay us. We have them select a maintenance plan.
Yeah.
And a monthly $50. We have a $25 a month plan. They're paying something. So like, oh, I'm paying money. Oh yeah, that's right. I've got this patent. So I need to I need to do something with this. I need to make sure I'm enforcing it. And it's just that conscious, even if it's a little bit of money, something to make them sort of be accountable to bringing it to fruition.
It's a skin in the game question.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And people don't know anything about trademarks. They don't know anything about copyrights. They don't know anything about patents, trade dress, trade secrets. They know the terms, and that's it. To the extent that they become educated in it, they think, oh, I need to get this registration through. Then I own something. You owned it already. Yeah. We're just getting federal protection. We're just putting federal guns behind it. That's what we're doing. But it just doesn't end there. And they seem to think it does. It's like, we got to push them to, man, you got to get out there and protect it. And there aren't any trademark police, specifically, with the exception of the Customs and Border Patrol. Right. So you can do a CBP recordation of your trademark or copyright. I think if you've got federal registration, you can use that number with the Border Patrol, and they will watch for it. And I love the language, because if they find infringing goods coming into the country, they have the right to retain them and ultimately destroy them.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's so cool. It's like, burn it.
Full control.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those things are that. Yeah, absolutely correct. I do kind of the same thing. It's a bit of it's a subscription kind of thing, and depending on, and it depends on how valuable it is to you, right? Sometimes we don't maybe we don't need to put quite so much money and effort into it. Not all intellectual property is of the same value to everybody, right?
Yeah.
But at least you should at least monitor some of it. So I've got a couple of different levels myself of how exhaustive that monitoring really is. And some of it's pretty expensive, but it's global and it just looks at absolutely everything. The other thing to remember with a lot of this stuff, because Google's so popular,
Right.
their requirement to have an internet presence to own intellectual property. It's
Interesting.
not a legit question. The answer is no.
Oh,
Of course not, right? If I have a beauty salon, I put my name on the sign right there. I have intellectual property. Maybe I don't have a website. Maybe I'm not in the phone book. I got enough clients, man. Why am I going to spend money trying to get more clients? I got more than I can handle now. I'm trying to hire somebody. But they still have the intellectual property rights.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
They had to register business. So did your search through the business registrations of all 50 states? Did it? If it didn't, you probably missed some.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the searching and monitoring stuff. Is that it's a big deal.
Hey, okay, a couple more minutes. There's 2 or 3 minutes left. Give me a minute on where do you see your practice going in the next 5 to 10 years? What will change, if anything? What do you hope will change?
Yeah, 5 to 10 years. I mean, the piece of it that I'm so interested in is after we get past registrations and the proper protection of this intellectual property is the maintenance piece, right?
Yeah.
I just don't see enough activity there. The tools are there, but try to find a law firm that provides, like you and I do, any kind of a subscription service.
Yeah.
It's really astonishingly rare. I see that as being a really big part of the practice. It's like, we're doing great this week. We're doing great this week. Uh-oh, there's something we should address. I want that to be a really big part of the practice.
Got it.
And then when something comes up, maybe I'm the right person to help out. Maybe I'm not. And then I vet that out. It's like, this is great, but I want to get JD involved because of this piece of it or the angle of it, or maybe Matt would be perfect for this because of some experiences that he's had. So, that starts to look like the real engine. And, between you and me and the fence post, a lot of that I can automate because it's robots.
Sure.
So it's a space where even if I'm not hiring a lot of staff, I can manage a lot of people, a lot of clients, and really provide that value. And even those search engines, those monitoring engines, that's all AI.
Yeah.
That's all AI.
Interesting.
That runs.
Okay. And is that in development, or do you have something you're willing to share with what you have set up now?
They're just commercial. They're commercial exercises. Like Markify and Core Search also provide not just the searches, but also a variety of monitoring efforts, including things like a domain watch, right? So somebody registers a domain that's got not even just your trademark in it, but a confusingly similar version, maybe a misspelled version of your trademark, and they're putting out a mistaken domain. There's a term for it, where they put in a domain that, like, you finger and you wind up on their website and they're skimming your traffic.
Wow.
How do you watch for that? So they have systems like that. So that's
cool.
That's what people need to be doing.
Yeah, got it. Okay, if someone's listening here and they want to get a hold of you, are you okay if I give your email address out?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, perfect. So David at Bosland.law. There it is.
Bosland.law. If you're lazy, you can type bos.law.
That'll get you done. bos.law.
Yeah, 6-character
nice
URL. Awesome. Yeah, I've tried to set my website up to be a place where people who they don't know anything can go there and just read about different kinds of intellectual property. I'd be very interested to add more from you, maybe on the patent part. But the better informed potential clients are, the smoother our conversations are, and the less time we have to spend, educating each other.
Yeah.
And the quicker we can get to providing some substantive service. So hopefully people find that website helpful in that way. It's just a question and answer format. You just read through it. I'll try to add some more jokes.
David, thank you so much for coming on and let me interview you and sharing your time there in the San Juans. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Hey, no worries. Anytime, man.
All right. Well, we're going to sign out here for Bold Patents and the show here at Bold Lawyers Show. We'll see you next week. We're here live Tuesdays at 2:30 p.m. Pacific. So we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.